What's going on, traders? Welcome to a technical breakdown of the pound dollar, otherwise known as the cable. So straight away we're going to jump into the weekly chart. The reason why we're not going to look at the monthly chart is because obviously the month hasn't ended yet. We're still halfway through the month. Um, okay, like going towards the end of the month, and it's not good practice to jump in the middle of a candle closure. So obviously we're going to start from the weekly chart because the week that just went has been closed now, and now we're looking for the week ahead. So it'll be a good gauge on where the market's headed, what the market has done, and just to see the overall sentiment. So straight away we can see that the weekly chart is in a bearish mode. We can see that price is still trading below our moving averages. Despite this, we can see that price actually found support around the 23.6% retracement zone, formed a little doji here, and then price actually swung up as high as 1.32983 on the week that just went. However, obviously, we formed another doji here. Doji candles basically tell us that even though there was a huge bullish momentum here, the sellers took control and managed to close just above the opening. And I think it actually came down to only 9.6 pips from the opening. So that's barely anything at all. The sentiment on the weekly chart shows that there is definitely a potential of a continuation of this bearish movement. However, we'd have to see on the lower time frames about how price reacts on these zones. So if we actually go to the daily chart now, where most of our analysis is done, we can see that on Friday alone, and now I'll get into what actually happened on Friday, but the Friday alone cancelled out all the gains that was made throughout the whole week. So this move alone was actually coming down to about 222 pips on a drop. I mean, that's huge for a daily range. The reason why is because Theresa May's Brexit deals, her plan, got ultimately rejected by the EU. And speculators, investors got with this, and as soon as they found out, they started selling the pound, buying the dollar, and that's why we have this huge bearish move down. We can see that price actually still has rallied up and has been trading above our 50-day moving average, our 20-day moving average, and that's a clear sign of a trend being changed. We can see that there are definitely bulls in this area that want to push price forward. In terms of support and resistance, we can see that we have this support that was turned into resistance, got traded way above, and now we may have a third test on this zone. And not only that, we have our 50-day moving average, our 20-day moving average. We have a 38.2% Fibonacci retracement zone as further confluence. So in terms of where this pair is headed, I'm really looking to see on Monday when the market opens, I'm seeing price actually moving down and in this area of 1.3. We know that 1.3 is actually quite a significant level because it's a strong psychological level as well. So I definitely expect to see price testing this area, and ultimately this area will determine whether the weekly continuation continues or whether the bulls are actually controlling this area now. But you've got to realize that Theresa May and her Brexit deals and basically the future of the country ultimately is determining the valuation of the sterling. Just this week, actually, the week that just went past, we had consumer price index and the retail sales, which are gauges on the inflation rates in the country. They beat expectations, but despite this positive news, we still had this really bearish candle, this bearish engulfing, which took out all of the gains. So clearly the Brexit deals are determining the valuation. So it's really important to stay up to date with all the news that's going on. I definitely expect to see price rallying, or not rallying down, but I expect to see sellers coming back into the market on Monday, carry on from Friday, because obviously that is a very strong engulfing. But I do see this area. Let me just mark it on. Where's the drawing tool? So I definitely do see this area being tested throughout this week, and ultimately this area will determine whether the bears control this market or whether the bulls can actually sustain this support area and can ultimately raise price further. But we got to remember that Brexit is coming along very soon, and we can already see the effects of what is happening in the markets. You know, from little things as well, we can see that huge volatility coming into the markets just from like just random bits of news coming out from Brexit. So it's a very hard game to play because obviously no one knows what's happening. So we just have to make sure we stay up to date with all the news that's going on and see how it plays out. But definitely this week, I do see price moving down to 1.3 area, testing this area. We may not actually see much going on this week. In terms of fundamentals, we do have the GDP releasing on Friday, and as for the US, we have the Fed interest rate decision, and I think the markets are pricing in a quarter percentage increase on the interest rate. So I do see this pair having a lot of potential, but we just have to see how this market plays out in this zone because this will ultimately determine where the market goes and how the market plays out. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So if you want to join in on any trading discussion and even get free signals, be sure to click the Telegram links in the description box below. They're free to join and hopefully see you there. So thank you very much for watching and see you guys later.